Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of 284 News, our weekly news roundup. I'm Ron Grant, bringing you the very latest out of Tortola in the Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for joining us. The Patrick Harrigan Relays return for their second edition, a celebration of legacy and a powerful platform for the BVI's rising track stars. We sat down with Wayne Robinson, Program Officer for the Sports at the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports, who helped spearhead the event and shared what makes it so impactful.
Patrick Harrigan, he's always been a stalwart in sports. Even when I was growing up, he was my physical education teacher. He transitioned into the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports, where he was instrumental in putting forward a lot of different sporting programs and so forth. So coming into the department, we know that there was a thirst for one of the most, significant events in track and field, which is relays. And we decided we wanted to do something in his honor.
The very first Patrick Harrigan Relays debuted in 2024, and thanks to the overwhelming community support, the event is quickly becoming a yearly staple. Robinson noted that the relays aren't just about honoring the past, they are about shaping the future of athletics in the Virgin Islands.
These events create an atmosphere where students come to perform, and they perform under the eyes of a lot of our track coaches. Most of our athletes that are on the big stage today, they started right here in grassroots, right here in the BVI, with some of the top coaches here, and then they move on to further their athletic career. So it's definitely important that we get the identification pool from the early stages, where we can have coaches select those athletes and put in their foundational training, and then they can move further on, whether to college or whether to professional to perform.
As students lace up their spikes and take to the track this weekend, Robinson had one final message for the chasing of the dreams by these athletes.
It's created a great opportunity platform for students. We can identify a number of or athletes that are now dominating on the big stage or on their way to that path to performing big. So I would just say be dedicated. You come out, you train, and just do your best. And once it's all in the mind. If you have your mind focused and everything is streamlined, you can make it big.
Despite the pressure from the charter industry, USVI Governor Albert BRYAN Jr. defended the BVI's government's actions as reasonable and economically necessary. The governor said he would not impose reciprocal fees. Governor BRYAN told WTJX in St. Croix they met with the BVI on several occasions and they negotiated what they think was fair. The USVI governor said it's only fair the BVI gets paid for people to come into their waters. BRYAN also expressed sympathy for the BVI's economic pressures, noting that the BVI lacks federal support structures like the Federal Emergency Management Agency, unemployment insurance, and other U.S.-backed aid mechanisms. He said the BVI needs to make its economy work. Keanon Jones, VIPCA Executive Director, told WTJX in response to the governor's stance that the association was disappointed that the governor is not standing up for the local charter industry. He said at the end of the day, it's going to mean lost jobs, lost income, and will hurt the overall economy locally. Jones said the USVI has already lost 3 charter companies to the BVI, including Beyond Yacht Charters. Colin Steen at Beyond Yacht Charters CEO said he is relocating his fleet of 21 vessels to Virgin Gorda because it would not be economically feasible to maintain his operations out of Yacht Haven Grand on St. Thomas, like he has been doing for the past 5 years, now that the BVI government has implemented its new fee structure. Steen said he would still be permitted to operate charters in the U.S. Virgin Islands waters on a limited basis as a BVI home base operator. He said, however, that 99% of his clients request charters in BVI waters, attributing to the demand for the destination to aggressively market. Representative for the 8th District, the Honorable Marlon A. Penn, has joined the call for an investigation to be carried out on the Bank of Asia BVI Limited and how $5 million was deposited in the bank at a time when it was in the process of liquidation. In his appearance on NDP radio program on Monday evening, Penn echoed the sentiments expressed by Premier Natalia Wheatley, advocating for an internal audit to clarify how this sizable deposit was processed under such very unusual circumstances. However, his call for an internal audit was met with opposition from the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Myron V. Walwyn. In a statement, Walwyn expressed his disagreement with the lead and idea of an internal audit, suggesting instead that the governor should initiate an independent investigation into the matter. Walwyn argued that government internal audits are typically not made public, which could prevent the public from knowing the details of the investigation. Penn emphasized that when the audit is conducted, the findings are required by law to be presented to the House of Assembly, ensuring transparency and accountability.
And the premier is now saying that pretty much throwing the government's officials under the bus, that he didn't know anything about it in a statement. And the reality is that we have to use the vehicles that are afforded to us. The internal audit could investigate this matter, and I see nothing in the internal audit act that says that once it's investigated, it can be made public, or the Public Accounts Committee can look at this document and make a public.
So why do you believe the leader of the opposition called for the governor and not the Auditor General to investigate?
I don't know why, and there's no need for the government to get involved in our business. If we want to talk about maturity, we have to use the vehicles that are afforded to us to do our work, and not every minute call for the government to get involved.
I think the first call should be to
the internal auditor, the Auditor General, and you can do both. Because it's operational issue.
It's outside the government system.
Yeah,
the Auditor General is the one who...
And she can do that. And once the report is done, it has to be laid on the table of the House of Assembly, and it will be made public. It has to be made public by law. And the Public Accounts Committee has a responsibility to review this as well.
Some of the stuff you're hearing that this bank has never followed through with its obligation at the FSC to submit reports, annual reports, and what all the other reports are. That is troubling.
It is. And if we're putting on, and if public monies was placed knowing those circumstances, is really concerning to me as well.
The Ministry of Education has made more monies available to the H. Lavi Stout Community College, which allows the institution to better pay its staff and pursue more initiatives. During his address at the college's 32nd graduation exercises last Thursday, President Dr. Richard Georges thanked the ministry for its continued support.
Exemplified in a grant of $900,000 last year to support the outfitting and hiring at the Institute of Education in computer science and to support scholarships at the Institute of Education. The ministry has also provided the college a mandate and has granted the board its approval for the college to seek accreditation for 4-year degrees and graduate certificates. And we are happy that we were recently able to improve the salary scales at the college for faculty, retroactive January 1st. So I believe we can thank the board and the ministry for the support for those actions taken this year.
Dr. Georges emphasized that the college belongs to all of them and reiterated his call for talent sharing so they can accomplish much more.
Whether academic courses for transfer or employment, workforce training and development, environmental conservation, community programs, lectures, continuing education, film, drama, literary and performing arts, sport, we offer something for everyone. The college provides educational opportunity first and foremost, but it provides opportunities for cultural enrichment, community engagement, scientific research, and a safe place for us to grapple with society's biggest problems. It is time, 35 years in, for us to all think about how the college, this great dream of a visionary, can better serve the future of these Virgin Islands. To that end, I call on every corner of our community to reach out to us. Let us know what talents and resources you can provide to help us accomplish more and realize our mission and vision. HLSCC is a tight-knit family, bound together by shared purpose. We endeavor always to create an institution that places the needs of students first, that abides by the highest possible standards, and continues to cooperate with all stakeholders to improve the the learning experience. Class of 2025, look around you. Your community is here to gather and acknowledge and celebrate your progress and excellence. Look at the pride in the faces of your families and friends. Look at the joy on the faces of your faculty. As you depart, regardless of your next step, I encourage you to remain curious and creative, to avoid quick conclusions and assumptions, to always question the validity of your positions and arguments, to be prepared to lose but ready to win, to be generous and empathetic, to be proud, not prideful, to be comfortable in discomfort, to be happier to do right than to be right, and above all else, to never stop dreaming.
Positive updates are expected in the coming weeks about the Arthur Scatliff Primary School, also known as ASPS. Word on this from Education Minister the Honorable Sharibi de Castro during the Virgin Islands Voice program last week. Minister de Castro stated that in partnership with Unite BVI, they are actively working to finalize the design for the new school. The minister said they have been engaging with architects to ensure the design addresses past challenges like flooding and other infrastructural issues.
I want to assure the public once again that the ministry alongside Unite BVI, we're working really hard to move the process forward. I would have previously explained that the process would have been in the design phase, and we have been having engagement with Unite BVI, with the architects regarding the design concept. And we hope to reach the end of the design phase where we can subsequently put forward the design to the public and then, of course, move on towards construction. So the good news is that we have been having the discussions around the design. We are seeking to finalize that design concept to move the process forward. And I'm hopeful that in the coming weeks, we'll be able to go into the summer with some good news regarding the progress of that project. What I will say to you is we are ensuring that the project speaks to the reality of what it means to reimagine education. There would have been a lot of challenges with the structure, previous structure, and we would have had other challenges with other school buildings. And so we've been very meticulous in ensuring that the design mitigates the challenges with the area in terms of flooding and additional challenges, but also that it is fit for purpose and that it speaks to the evolution and the future-proofing of the education system regarding infrastructure. So in all of those words, I want to assure you that we intend to move the process forward this year to ensure that the Arthur Scatliff Primary School is rebuilt.
Faced with an increase in unsafe dumping practices and to prevent fires at the dump site in Parkwood Pond, the Department of Waste Management in the Virgin Islands is urging the public to properly dispose of their electronics. Acting Director of the Department of Waste Management, Aidan Doward, said while the department routinely reminds residents about safe disposal, they must be mindful of how they discard items such as mobile phones, laptops, LCD screens, modems, and video game consoles, as many of these devices contain lithium batteries, which pose a fire risk when disposed of improperly.
Well, we have been privileged over the past 2 years to not have any fires at the landfill in Parkwood Pond, Virgin Gorda, or Anegada that has been reported. Electronics sometimes hold residual energy that sometimes can cause combustion under stressful conditions, i.e. temperature or forceful impact from heavy machinery. And in those instances, we have unpredictable and spontaneous combustion of certain aspects of the landfill that we're able to contain, but we would love to reduce or altogether.
Dowd explained that their long-term vision is to partner with markets that can buy back certain electronic items and recycle them on an industrial scale. He also added that the department continues to explore responsible and sustainable waste management options for the Virgin Islands, and the proper disposal of electronic waste plays a vital role essentially in keeping the territory clean, green, and pristine. To that end, Doward is reminding residents to take electronic items directly to the Parkwood Pond dump site.
We don't want them mixed with your general waste. We would like that waste to be segregated from the rest, to be placed in a separate receptacle bag, and to be placed near one of our recycling points that accept glass, aluminum, and plastic. It would be helpful if those parcels can be labeled electronic, or if you could take them directly to the Parkwood Pond disposal site or any of the landfills on the neighboring islands. Well, it would be more vigilant on our behalf at the dump sites to more or less sort through the waste in a more meticulous manner. But our mantra stated clear that together we can keep the BVI clean and green. And so the public who still would not adhere to those instructions would realize it can be detrimental to the health of the entire community and territory going forward should we have these chemicals mixed in with our day-to-day waste stream.
Now, persons found dumping waste illegally face a $100 fine. Patience and perseverance have paid off for two Virgin Islands athletes. Local businessman Mr. Lesmore Smith of Top Priority Security Services has stepped up to the plate to aid two partial athletic scholarships. They are awarded to athletes Orlando Douglas and JABARI Pemberton to study at Highland Community College in the United States this fall. Smith made the presentation during a short ceremony last week. The businessman said he was happy he could assist these athletes and has credited the work of President of the BVI Athletics Association, Mr. Steve Augustine.
It is a pleasure to endorse these two good gentlemen. I know their parents well. I know Steve well. From a young man, I watched him beat some persons in terms of racing on the OHL recreation ground from his school days, his latter year in school. So I know him pretty well much in athletic. And it's a privilege, Steve, that you find that passion. You know me, horse racing, it's my all. I go St. Thomas, I go all about because I want to represent what I love. And keeping our children from in prison. Now that we had 2 sessions with young people 2 weeks ago inside this room. There was the male session and the female session. Inside the same room, where I've donated the room to help them to understand that we cares. And it means nothing to me giving back to children. As a young man, I had to live in a community where everybody gets along, everybody knew everyone, and you shared what you had. So I learned what it is to appreciate people. I learned how the older folks look out for me as a young man. And I made a pledge. When I get in the middle, I'm going to look down and I'm going to look up. I don't know about the middle group because I think they should learn to survive somewhere within the structure. But when it comes to my children and my senior citizens, it's a passion. It's nothing can stop me from not helping them. So these two young men today would be 2 statistics of the BVI gym to know that we have talent, we have discipline, and we have people that can represent. And I know when you all go out there and you put your foot on the ground, you're going to represent. It's about being disciplined. So far, you did good. Don't get influenced when you leave on that plane. Maintain the status. Remember, Steve watching you, and you're representing him. Don't disappoint him. Remember your parents watching you, and you're representing them.
Both Douglas and Pemberton have expressed thanks for being awarded these scholarships.
So it has been a pleasure because I've been going at it for 2 years, trying to get assistance with school. So now I finally got the assistance that I needed to go after school. I feel happy and I really do appreciate it. And I also want to thank my friends, family, supporters, well-wishers, also NB Scouting for giving me the opportunity, to showcase my talent abroad. Thank you.
Right now, I can't lie, it still feels so surreal that it's actually happening. College has always been a dream for me. My goal was never to just stop here after high school, like fresh out of high school, class of 2024. So being able to get a process done so quick, a year after, normally don't take that long. Like Orlando said, he been trying at it for 2 years. So for me to have the opportunity a year after graduating is a blessing, to be honest. I really want to say thanks to Mr. Lesmore Smith, because he see the talent in both of us to even want to give us a sponsor. And big up MB Scouting, Charlon and the whole team. They really been looking out every day, calling up first thing in the morning just to make sure everything's straight, everything's sorted out. So I just want to say, man, it's a pleasure. I know the whole BVA backing both of us, no matter what, and we're going to make y'all proud. Appreciate it.
Additionally, their parents were also on hand to witness the great occasion. Tissa Donovan, a Virgin Islander studying in Taiwan, has graduated with a master's degree in public health from Tipia Medical University. Donovan's journey, which was highlighted by Tweet4 Media in September of 2024 when she sought community participation for her research on single mothers, has culminated in her achieving this significant academic milestone. In a heartfelt post shared on Facebook, Donovan reflected on her journey, which began just 2 years ago when she applied for the BVI Asia Abroad Scholarship with no expectations, she says, and very unsure of what laid ahead. 2 years ago, she said, I filed for the BVI Asia Abroad Scholarship program and applied with a heart filled with apprehension and skepticism and no expectations whatsoever. She wrote, expressing how difficult it was to leave her son behind and to move to Taiwan after the recent loss of his father. Despite the emotional challenges and cultural adjustments during her first year in Taiwan, Donovan remained focused and steadfast on her goal. As a single mother, she knew that continuing her education was crucial for both her personal growth and her ability to provide for her son. She said, and I quote, I wasn't only doing this for me, but also my son. As a single mother, I knew how important it was for me to continue my education in order to provide for him the way I want to. In her message to other single mothers, Donovan offered an empowering reminder, stating, and I quote, having a baby doesn't stop the show. If anything, they should be the catalyst for you to go harder. Create a plan, stick to it, have faith, and make it happen. Jaleel Crowell and Kalia Liburd recently competed at the same NCAA Division I Outdoor Track and Field Championships, marking a significant leap forward for the BVI on the collegiate athletic stage. Kalia Liburd became the BVI's 6th NCAA D1 Outdoor All-American, finishing 8th in the 400 meter in 51.69 seconds, earning first team honors. Running from lane 1, she also made history for Florida State, becoming their first female 400-meter All-American since Kayla Frenderburg in 2015, and established herself as the BVI's most consistent quarter-miler with 7 sub-52 performances. Jaleel Crowell wrapped up a very strong NCAA debut with second-team All-American honors in the 200-meter. Honorable mention in the 100-meter and helped his school's 4x4 meter relay team to a 4th place finish. The British Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, with support from Olympic Solidarity, is launching a new interactive radio show, Olympic Voices, debuting Saturday, June 21st, 2025, 3 p.m. on ZBVI 780 a.m. Hosted by Zebulon McLean, the show will explore the spirit of sport through the lens of Olympic values, respect, friendship, and excellence. Listeners can expect a dynamic mix of sports, history, cultural lifestyle, as well as Olympic aspirations featuring athletes, National Federation members, and community influencers. Olympic Voice isn't just about athletics, it's about the stories, struggles, and triumphs that shape our lives through sport, said Ephraim Penn, BVIOC president. The show invites weekly listener participation, offering a platform for real conversations that go beyond the playing field and into the heart of what sport means to the community. Viewers, that is it for our weekly news roundup. Be sure to follow us for your daily news updates at tweet4media.com and like us on Facebook at tweet4media and tweet4bvi on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. A happy Saturday. I'll see you on Monday. Have a safe and enjoyable rest of the weekend. Goodbye.
My name is Henry Bosch. I work for PPG. I'm here to explain to you the use of the Deltron NXT paint line and enviro-based high performance, one being solvent-borne and the next being waterborne. The difference is that one is totally manufactured with rosins and thinners and all the good stuff that solvents bring versus our new technology, which is waterborne, which is 100% latex. What we're gonna do is that we reduce the solvent-borne with a DT885, which is a mid-temp reducer, and the waterborne uses T494, which is a waterborne reducer. We will today be using either DCU 2042, which is a speed clear, or we will be using DCU 2021, which is a classic. We have here our equipment. We have 8-ounce measuring cups, and we also have our 32-ounce mixing cup. We will also have with us our Venturi. This is a blower for us to dry the waterborne paint, which speeds up the process. The good thing about waterborne paint is that as soon as it evaporates, you're good to go. So now Gilligan will dilute the waterborne paint with the waterborne reducer. We made 8 ounces, that would be 1.6 ounce. It always has to be properly mixed until we get an even mixture within the paint mixing cup. So when we spray, we don't see uneven coats of color. So right now we're filling our paint gun with 8 ounces of diluted paint. We're gonna see how far 8 ounces will take us. Waterborne paint seems to look blotchy on your first coat. Don't pay no mind to that. Don't try to achieve full coverage on your first spray. Excellent, let it dry. So the process in waterborne is 2 even coats, and then we have what we call a dust coat. Well, now we're gonna have Mr. Brown apply the first coat of clear on his waterborne panel. We'll let it flash off, and then he'll come back and coat it with his second coat to finish it off. As you had seen in the previous shots, we had a little blotchiness, and you'll see some patches. That's all due on purpose to sandpaper to prove that with enviro-based high performance, all technicians, the body work has to end at 800 grit or plus. Well, enviro-based is like we're trying to shift everyone into that slowly but surely. The entire west coast of the United States and all of Canada has already been on waterborne for the past 10 years. And now soon it'll be the eastern seaboard, which covers the Caribbean. So when that happens, we'll all be affected. So it's best to start now, start trying and applying waterborne, because eventually everyone will be on it. And referring to technicians, it's less harmful because it doesn't have all the toxic chemicals that solvent-borne paints do.
Start the year off with more speed, more downloading, more savings, and more fire. CCT Fire Fiber Internet gives you the speed you need to keep the whole family connected. Packages starting at $119 with speeds from 300 megabytes per second, super fast, unlimited downloads, even more reliable connectivity, plus free live streaming TV for the family to enjoy. Sign up for the absolute best fiber internet service in the BVI, CCT Fire, and pay no installation fee. Plus, get CCT Live TV for free. You deserve more. Get more with CCT. Life Unlimited.